Okay, now for the Chucky update. 95% of you guys probably know Chucky's story, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway in the beginning. From the beginning. Um, Chucky's first suicide attempt, he was 10. He got put in Charter North in Anchorage, Alaska, a residential treatment facility for kids who are having a rough time. Kind of like the cool place Richard is doing. Our friend Richard Jones out near Twin Bridges. But Chucky was not a happy kid. His dad, Charles Kemp, my husband, was busted for dealing cocaine to a police officer or federal agent. I don't know. But it was a large amount. Large amount. So he went to jail for a long time. I immediately divorced him, moved in with his stepmom, Susie Kemp. Hi, Susie. I love you and I miss you. Who still lives in Delta Junction, Alaska, but gets to travel and go see grandkids and all that fun stuff. That's the point I'm at, except I'll never get to visit grandkids because those who have one, Amanda, won't even talk to me. But anyway, Chucky, so we moved in with Grandma Susie. Chucky was born a little premature. He was colicky, allergic to everything. He was not a pleasant baby. After having Matthew, who was a killer on me physically, but, you know, he was huge, he was happy, he was healthy. But remember, I was only 17. Oh yeah, I'm using the selfie stick, which I've never used before, and I know it's not on there right, and it shakes, so try to fix it. Anyway, but I look better, I don't look as chunky. Anyway, Chucky was born, like I said, premature, had just a rough growing up when he was little because he was so sick all the time. But he didn't see his father until after his father got out of jail. And then his father, Charles Kemp Jr., got remarried, had 2 twin girls, baby A and baby B, Adrian and Brianna, I think, or I don't know. Chucky knows, but anyway, they moved, took off, and Chucky's never seen him since, and I think he was about 8 years old the last time Matt and Chucky went down to Anchorage to see him because they moved out of state. Chucky's first abandonment issues. So Chucky was really ornery in his teenagers, or in his younger years, catching the Tanana Valley Junior High School sign on fire with his friend. Chucky didn't actually light the match, but his friend did. Got in trouble for that. I don't even think I want to know some of the other things he did. I was working as a firefighter, working as a bartender, gone a lot, you know. Mom was up there for a couple years, but then she left Alaska, and Lana was my savior. Thank you, Lana Morgan, for being my savior. Lana's my other mother, and she's my mom's best friend from when they were little kids, and she was a foster parent, and I even gave my kids to Lana for a while, so I had the opportunity to try to get myself together, and that was after a horrific thing that happened to me. I was violently raped at the cabaret back in the day, and it took me a while to get over that. So Lana took my kids, and, you know, Matt still throws that in my face, but, you know, I don't know why. I got to see him all the time. Heck, half the time I spent living with them, but at least I knew every day that you had a place to live, a place to sleep, your own room, food on the table, and you always had your Nana, just like I always had my Nana. Anyway, that was a hard thing for me to do, but apparently that has really upset Matt over the years. But go to therapy, Matt. Get over it. Anyway, Chucky knew he was always loved by me, at least, and, you know, even though He was ornery. I always loved Chucky. Anyway, when he got to be an older teenager, he started getting a little trouble, a lot more marijuana, as far as I knew, nothing else at that time. He was hanging out with Ryan and Mikey and Kevin and all you guys. You know who you are. Thanks for calling lately. I really want Chucky to... I want you to connect with Chucky because I think you guys would be a really good part of his treatment right now. So, I friended a lot of you last night and, you know, just call me. We'll talk about it. Anyway, when Chucky was 17, he was on meth, walked into a gas station in town. I don't think he had a mask. I know he didn't have a mask on. Robbed him for $300. Walked out the door. I think the gun was unloaded. He did have a gun, but it was unloaded. Walked out the door and got busted. They gave him a really stiff sentence because of, you know, I was trying to get him help. And because of his record, because of his, you know, going to Charter North and everything, they threw the book at him. So instead of Chucky going to the juvenile facility, he went to the one and only big prison in Alaska, down in Valdez, where Mom used to send him money because he'd always tell me, Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I need a new pillow. Mom, I need whatever. So I'd always send him money, which I now know I wish I hadn't, because Chucky has now got tattoos from head to toe. Well, yeah, head to toe, except on the parts most people don't see. And they're not pretty. And I know he wants to fix some of them. And I know I want him to fix some of them. So we got to do that for him, Richard. Anyway, he spent his time there, got out, did really good, went to work for Dupa. Was still smoking his weed, you know, which... if there's any drug in the world that I'm okay with, it's marijuana. I mean, it helps calm you down. It got a lot of medical properties. You know, I'm good. I'm good with that. I don't think it's a gateway drug to anything. Maybe as a teenager, but as an adult, smoke all the pot you want. You know, I know people my age that smoke pot. I don't care. I don't, because it puts me to sleep. And you know me, I don't like downers. If I took anything, it's uppers, because I used to take a lot of those. But that's another story. But anyway, Chuck was doing pot, and he got laid off. He knew he was going to get laid off in October, because it's winter in Alaska. What do? You can't work construction in winter. Or you can, but Dupa just didn't have the... Dupa and Chris didn't have the work at City Electric to keep him on, so he got laid off. And he got upset, went with his buddies and smoked pot, and the probation officer called, and he knew he couldn't pass, so he ran. From October, November, December, I didn't know where he was. I would leave money in a certain spot. I would leave clothes in a certain spot. You know, not a lot of money, 10 bucks here, 20 bucks there, in a spot in the yard so he could come get it. And I knew he was in Fairbanks for a while, but then he wouldn't get into things, so I knew that he was gone. And I was afraid for him, you know. He couldn't call me, even though he had a phone and got a phone, because he knew that the cops had bugged my phone. And they did. They were looking for him. Because he was a felon, they were actively looking for him. So I get a call from him, I can't remember exactly, I'd have to look at my paperwork, but either in December or January. And they had arrested him. I still, to this day, have never seen a police report on what actually happened, but it was for bad things Chucky was doing, because I'm sure he was back on the meth then, or whatever he was on. But they put him in jail. He was at the City of Anchorage jail from that time until March 30th. And that's the day he was on suicide watch. But he hung himself, tied the sheet to the towel bar, went on his knees, and fell forward. Mind you, he was on suicide watch. They found him 25 minutes later. They figured he had been hung. He was dead. They did 45 minutes worth of CPR and tried to revive him. They finally got him revived, took him to the hospital in Anchorage, put him on life support, and they called me on April 4th, 4 days later, and told me, the nurses called and told me that I needed to come down and unplug him because he wasn't doing good. So I did. I fucking freaked out. My friend, who I miss dearly, went down there with me, and we went to the hospital. Kelly Ellison went to the hospital, heard what was happening, and she had to get back to Fairbanks, but I stayed, of course, and saw him, and I called Amanda. Amanda was in the Navy, and she came home on emergency leave, and my mom came up, and he was on life support for 16 days. Tried to take out the tubes. He was alive and kind of with it then, but definitely major brain damage. It's called a noxious brain injury from no oxygen in the brain to the brain for an extended period of time. But what really hurt on the day we finally got the tube out, which was the most awesome day for me because, you know, my son was alive and he was going to live, they fucking put him back in jail. So for 3 months, he was back in jail with no rehab, no nothing. And they had, every time I went, they had him tied to a bed or tied to a wheelchair. And he was moving his hands. He couldn't talk. He couldn't walk. He couldn't feed himself. He had another inmate that would help him do that. But he kept doing this, and I didn't know what he was doing. Well, I didn't know that he knew sign language. He never told me. But after 5+ years in jail, he had a friend in there who taught him sign language. So he was very fluent. And I had brought one of my friends, or somebody came with me and said, honey, he's talking to you. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, he's signing you. And so my friend signed with them for a little bit, and it was, get me the hell out of here. I want out. So, and trust me, I'd been trying to get him out, and they didn't know what to do with him. They really didn't know what to do with them because they know that they fucked up. So finally, I get a phone call in July that said, like, the end of June, 1st of July, because we had planned a 4th of July camping trip down at Birch Lake with everybody. And they told me to get my ass down there by 3 o'clock. Not the warden, one of the jailers called me. The correction officers called me and says, be down here by 3 or 4 o'clock. Go pay the $500 bail. I want him the heck out of here. If I have to walk him out with a gun, I will. Come get your son. So I busted my ass down there, paid the bail, went over, got him out with his stuff, me and Dupa, and then we went and got his picture taken for the bail and headed home. We were in Wasilla, Alaska, home of Sarah Palin, and hi, Sarah, my friend. Hope you're doing well. And he wanted to eat everywhere. We went to at least 5 drive-thrus because Chucky was so hungry. Mind you, he couldn't talk, he could run, but he was very hard walking when he stopped. He liked to run, trust me. But he was hungry. he would just shove the food in his mouth because I think that people were taking his food and he couldn't eat. So he was just shoving it in like he still does now sometimes. And it's really hard for me to watch because it reminds me of that day, you know. Anyway, so we got him home. We tried so hard to get him in a place, and everybody kept telling us that after 3 months it's too late to work with a brain, you know, work with somebody with a brain injury. It should have been done immediately, which I fucking knew. But anyway, we got him. We still have him. We have, you know, tried to find him the best doctors, the best places for him, tried therapy, tried everything for the last 13 years, you know, everything I can do for him, you know, but I still have him. Right now, he's been like a little volcano, having these little bitty spurts. You know, he's tried to run in front of a truck, going down Kosh, going 65, 70 miles an hour in Kosh. The other day, he tried to run out in front of a car on AB. Since Chucky's brain injury, and since especially we moved to West Plains, and that's one reason why, the biggest reason why we moved out of Alaska. Even though I wanted to go to Arizona, Dupa wanted here because his family is closer, and so this is where we are, and I'm okay with that. This is a really awesome place. Anyway, Chucky was going to a place here in town that because of a mark on a box in a wrong spot, he got kicked out of, and we're trying to get him back in there as a PSR. Chucky is currently in, I know I started a story and I forgot, now I don't remember where I was, but we want him out. He might get out today, but I asked the social worker yesterday if she would please try to get him back in PSR, and I can bring him home. But he needs help. He needs some bad help. The last couple days, yesterday, he got in trouble for punching somebody because the awful Chucky, as he calls him, got mad because he thought I was on the phone and it wasn't me. It was for the other guy he punched. So the nurses told me that he didn't punch too hard, you know, which is good because Chucky could if he wanted to really hurt somebody. When I get upset, I have a hard time thinking. Can't imagine, you know. Once the air hits the brain, it's never the same. So anyway, the nurses calmed him down. He got a little bit of trouble. I don't know what they do to him, actually. Probably give him meds, I'm sure. But they calmed him down, and, you know, 20 minutes later, I'm on the phone with them. He's bawling his eyes out because he feels so bad. Because he hit somebody. Because that's not the good Chucky. The Chucky we all know and love. So the day before, somebody else hit a nurse, and the patient was standing right next to Chucky when the nurse was hit, and he cried for an hour, gave all the nurses hugs and everything, and told me that he hit a nurse, and I said, no, you didn't hit the nurse. Somebody else hit the nurse. And for about a half an hour on different conversations, it finally came out that Mom didn't raise him that way, and he would have never hit a woman, but he did hit a woman, and I know exactly who it is, and because he told me about it when he was about, right after he got out of jail. He met a woman named Marie or Maria, we'll have to confirm with Chucky, who had 2 little girls from a previous relationship. Somebody, of course, Chucky knew, who wasn't a very good guy, especially to her and the kids. So Chucky stepped in and became like a stepdad and was having a great time. But I'm thinking he got high one time and probably hit her, and regrets doing that ever since. So that was a bad thing in his life that needed to come out. hitting the other person by the phone. Can anybody picture that happening in jail? Getting a fight over the phone when you're in jail? I can see that. So all these emotions are coming out of Chucky like a little volcano. And, you know, he's getting mad and upset. And you guys can watch his explosion on YouTube. I didn't get the one on AB. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So, oh well. You guys can see how bad Chucky's been by the videos I posted on this channel. So, anyway, this is coming out of him. He's almost to the point where his medicines are kicking in. They took him off the antipsychotic because Chucky's not psychotic. He's just depressed. And he's got all these emotions that need to get out of him. So he needs some therapy. I would love, love, love to see him in a 30-day residential treatment facility right now. They've been talking group home, but I think he would be in too much trouble. I think he would get kicked out. I don't think that's a good place for him now. In the near future, absolutely. Mom needs a life. Chuck needs a life, needs a job, but needs to be like Matt, not living with Mom. So, maybe by the time Grandma's little buttons, we'll have it figured out. But for now, he needs some serious therapy. He needs to know that he is loved by his friends and family, and especially those far away. I think that you guys, Kyle and all you guys, would be, Mikey, I think that would be such good therapy for him. So I'm about ready to give you my phone number on video, but I'll get it out there. Anyway, we just need the therapy, and Chuck has, you know, from the age of 14 until, what year did he hang himself? Until the year he hung himself, worth of bad shit. 5 years in jail worth of bad shit that happened to him that he needs to get out. And the only way to get bad crap out of your life is to talk about it and go to therapy and take antidepressants. And boy, I got a bipolar manic depressive bio father, who right now yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. That had passed that lovely gene on to me. We all know I am, you know. Dr. Fink and Elizabeth refused to call me bipolar. I'm just a manic depressive, but I think I'm a little more than that. But anyway, you know, I take my pills, and because of the situations I've been in, 30 years of therapy, and I haven't gone to just different therapists all the time. I've had 3 therapists in 30 years. So that is what we're doing with Chucky. Hopefully we'll get out. I am going to work my ass off today with dealing with my house, on JJ, dealing with my closing, and dealing with my son, because right now that's my priority. So that's what's up with Chuck. I'll do video 3 in a minute. Okay. Love to all. Bye.